And we are live for the 14th episode of the Bronx Bomber Battle podcast. I am your host, Matt, Luz, Luigi, and do the Yankees still play baseball?
I don't know. I feel like
Um,
they have in
Trying
the
to
past,
remember
but
last time I watched a Yankees game. It's been a while. Um, yeah, so the Yankees, a lot of rainouts, a lot of rain across the country this week, specifically in the Northeast. It's still cold, even though it's the middle of April. So not a lot of things to talk about really in terms of Yankees baseball of the weekend. But we haven't had a show all week, so we'll have plenty to talk about. And I'm here today with Alex, and Alex is also in the Northeast, suffering through the terrible weather.
it's just lovely up here right now. It's about 30, 35 degrees with freezing rain and sleet everywhere.
Interesting. Yeah, that is
Perfect baseball conditions right now.
just great baseball weather. Um, yeah, so like I said, we haven't had an episode since last week at this time. So a lot has happened since then. So we're kind of almost good timing because if we did a show Thursday, we would probably have nothing to talk about today because there's only been one baseball game. We'd probably be breaking down rain patterns and weather radar.
Be the weatherman edition of the podcast.
Yeah. So we're gonna be talking about the one game between the Yankees and Tigers that was played on Friday night, which resulted in the Yankees' victory. We'll talk a little bit about the Yankees Red Sox series and the brawl that ensued, and the terrible baseball that also ensued from the Yankees in that series. And there's a certain prospect that may be a few days away from making his MLB debut. If you don't know who that is yet, you should probably hit pause. No, I'm just kidding. Gleyber Torres will be talked about, and what we think of what we think his path should be over the next week. But let's start it off with talking about Aaron Hicks, who it wasn't his first game back Friday night, but it was his coming out party. He had a big game, 2 home runs, only one left the yard, but both probably should have. Both were just bombs. And I think he kind of reassured, cemented that thought in our minds and all Yankee fans' minds that he's very valuable to this team, and he was one of the few starters we were missing to start in the beginning of the season. Not just Greg Bird. Aaron Hicks is a valuable guy to this team. So yeah, Alex, what do you think about Hicksy's performance on Friday night?
Oh, I thought it was pretty great. I just the first home run, the inside the Parker, that was just such an exciting thing to see happen. And then I think in between the 2 home runs, he walked, and then he hit the other one, which went a good 15, 20 rows back in the right field seats. But I think Hicks just overall, he brings a lot more to the team, and he's so valuable. And a lot of people don't see that because a lot of his value comes from his defense. But even offensively, he was hitting 290 with 10 homers before he went on the DL, I think for the first time last year. And then once he came back, he wasn't as good offensively, and I think that's why a lot of people kind of second guessed him and weren't sure whether he would be that good this year. But so far in that game alone, he showed that he can be a star.
Yeah, and the injury last year, I mean, he's had a lot of injuries with his obliques, but he's always really just had injury problems. And even the beginning of this year, I don't think he was really that hurt. He even said that he was ready to go after a couple days, but they just wanted to be cautious with them, which is completely understandable.
Yeah, it was more of a precaution because intercostal, that
especially with all the other injuries that were occurring at the time. They're like, look, we don't just sit down for a week.
Yeah.
At that point, the Yankees had a lot of outfielders, and then
exactly,
and they all got hurt. But
at this point in the season, if you have an injury that's going to keep you out for 2 weeks or so, it's not a big deal because it's so early on. If this happened in August or September, maybe they would have just benched him for a few days, see how he felt after that, and then evaluated. But now they'll just put him on the DL, let him ride out the injury, just however long it lasts, and then bring him back.
Right. So, other notes about that 1-game series in Detroit. Jordan Montgomery looked incredible through 4 innings that night. He was just dominant, getting guys out. I mean, that curveball, he got a few guys out with that curveball that bounced up. It seemed went only 55 feet, but that thing was just nasty. And his final line, 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 4 strikeouts. Only 91 pitches though. It's a good margin for Montgomery. He's usually at 91 through 5 innings. It seems like more often than not. So I like him being 91 pitches into the 7th inning. And then, so Montgomery, he looked good. Okay, that's good. Check mark there. But when we go to the bullpen, and D-Rob, I know he gave up a couple hits, but one of those was an infield hit, and I don't think the other one was exactly a rip either. So he did his job, got out of it. He let the run come in, but it wasn't one of his earned runs. So, okay, D-Rob did his job. But then there's this 6'8" relief pitcher that is in the Yankees bullpen, and his name's Dellin Betances. Look, I'll be frank with you. I was not watching this game live. I did watch the condensed highlights, but the first thing I saw when I looked at the box score, I said, "How is Dellin Betances even allowed to give up 5 hits? Like how after Betances gives up 3 or 4 hits,
he does. He doesn't.
The hell out of there.
Yeah."
He usually doesn't give up just think of it this way. Betances, when he's dominating, even when Betances is struggling, he's over 8 appearances, he'll only probably give up 4 or 5 hits. The walks are the thing that screws him over. Mm-hmm. Betances could literally give up a run allowing 1 hit and 4, or give up 3 runs allowing 1 hit.
He blew a game. He blew a game last year against the Jays where he walked 4 consecutive guys.
My mom was at that game. Yeah, it was like the few days after. I think it was the day after 4th of July. That's when it was.
Yeah.
And you usually don't see Dellin giving up 5 hits over 2 3/3 innings. And he just was batting practice out there for the Tigers. And Boone just, was chilling. And, Green came in, got the strikeout, kept the game intact. And then Chappie struck out the side in the 9th. But it just reiterates the fact that, man, Green, D-Rob, Chapman, they're all going to be good. But the 2 guys I think you have to worry about are Betances and Canely. And, it really is. It's coming to a point. We're going to, one of the Yankee early season reactions at the end of the show we're going to talk about involves Betances. But, yeah, man, it's looking really worrying with him right now. And I think there's one – I saw this on Twitter. I forget from who. But, if Betances is, the worst relief pitcher in your bullpen, that's pretty good, right? But at least one of the worst, because I think he's still above either Adam Warren or Jason Shreve. But I mean, man, his ERA is 8 now. Mm-hmm. I know it's still early in the season, but I mean, how many? He's already given up more home runs this year than he's given up last year. I mean,
he's at the same. He gave up 3.
Okay. But usually he doesn't. I mean, Betances only gives up 1 or 2 in a year, and the fact that he gives up 3 in the first month, it's just concerning. His fastball velocity, I don't have the stats to back this up, but it seems like his fastball velocity isn't where it's usually been at. I mean, that home run he gave up the other night, I think, was 96.
Yeah.
So
I wrote about this the other day, and from looking at him this season, he looks like he's basically overcorrected his walk problems, because at the end of last season, and especially in the playoffs, he was walking so many guys. He had no control of the strike zone.
Now he has too much control, you're saying.
And now he has too much. He's throwing too many strikes now, which is really weird to say about Dellin. But he's only walked, I think it's 3 guys this year, which is it's not, I think, in 6 innings, that's not ideal. But that's not like how he was last year, where he walked 40-something guys in 57 innings. So he's too hittable this year.
Yeah,
and
this is something one of my old coaches told me that, actually my old coach told me that, when he got to college ball, he was a pitcher. The coach told him, and the first thing he told him was, "You throw too many strikes." And he was so confused by this. Like, what do you mean I throw too many strikes? But a lot of pitchers, when you throw too many strikes, or when you're at, Tanaka does this a lot too. When you're at, let's say, 50 pitches and 38 pitches are strikes, guess what? You're not making guys second guess. There's an 80% chance that ball is going to be in the zone. They could just sit dead red and just hack.
And they know they're going to get a pitch to hit, which is Dellin's problem, especially since he only has 2 pitches. Let's be real. He has his fastball and he has his curveball. And on nights that he doesn't have, the greatest control of one of those, he doesn't use it. Like we've seen him only throw curveballs because he'll just throw a fastball and it goes to the backstop. So I don't really think this was the case on Friday, but it's pretty easy to guess what he's throwing because you have 50-50 chance. And if you look at the home run that Candelario hit, he was sitting fastball, and when he got that, he just crushed it because that went to the deepest part of the Tigers ballpark.
Yeah,
and it was out by
a
a good amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just he needs to find a common ground between where he was last year and where he was this year, and then I think he has a chance to at least somewhat resemble how good he was a few years ago. I'm not saying he's going to go back to having a 1.4 ERA and at 15 strikeouts per 9, but if he can, if he's going to get strikeouts, but if he can have ERA in the 3s maybe, then he'll be an asset in the Yankees bullpen. But he really needs to figure out what his problem is, and that he can't throw as many strikes because hitters are picking up on everything that he throws.
Yeah. I really hope he figures it out, but it just really doesn't look promising. His All-Star game streak is in jeopardy, I would say. I think,
very much so.
I think it's actually already done. I think he could literally not give up a run from now until the All-Star break. I still don't think he would get in because I think that ERA would still be above 2.
It would be close, yeah.
But let's talk about the Boston series very quickly because I know the first game was last Tuesday, and we won't talk about that game a lot because I had to recap that game, and boy, that was an awful game.
That
14-1, and just got blown out. That was the night that it really wasn't. I know Sale was on the mound, but wasn't all that big of a blowout in the 5th and 6th inning until Tommy Kahnle came in and just
Kahnle destroyed it, and Shreve, he put the cherry on top by giving up the grand slam to Betts.
It really just all these early season implosions from Kahnle, from all these different guys. It's disgusting, and
it's tiring.
It's very tiring. And I don't want to I really didn't want to bring this up because I know how a lot of people feel about this. But there are people out there on Twitter who last year were saying, why is Betances blowing up like this? Why is Chapman blowing up like this? Why is Tanaka blowing up like this? And a lot of those people pointed to Larry Rothschild. And I wasn't one of those people. I wasn't. I said, look, these guys, they're major league pitchers. The pitching staff overall, I was very satisfied with. So I wasn't one of those guys. But, if this bullpen, like I said at the beginning of the year, I thought this bullpen would be top 10 guaranteed. If they're not, I might have a few questions. And, am I wrong for having these questions if this bullpen continues to do this throughout the year, Alex?
I don't no. If the bullpen continues to be this awful throughout the year, then there's a legitimate problem. But we're 14 games in.
Absolutely.
It's still way too early to make
bullpen's
judgments.
A lot different though because we're 14 games in, but if you consider that each guy, Green, Chapman, Betances, is going to get, let's say, 50, 60 appearances. So when they've already had, let's say, 5, 6 appearances, and 2 or 3 of them are bad, for example, D-Rob gave up 4 runs for the Yankees in August and September last year.
Yeah.
He gave up 4 runs in that inning against Toronto.
It was on one swing of the bat.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about with bullpen, though.
Yeah.
That's how fast stuff changes. Betances had a .42 ERA halfway through the year last year, and then all of a sudden in 3 weeks it was at 3.
Well, and bullpens in general, they're very ERAs especially are very. They don't tell the whole story. I remember before D-Rob signed with the White Sox with the Yankees, I want to say it was 2011 or 2012. He it was one of those years, 2013 maybe. He had a outing where against the Twins where he gave up 5 or 6 runs in the 9th inning when he was trying to close out a game. And because of that, his ERA was really high for the rest of the year, even though he had a really good season.
Yeah.
And he had a a lot of really good outings where he didn't give up any runs, but because of that one outing, his ERA ballooned as a result. And ERAs in general for relievers are something you can't really trust because of that, because they don't pitch as many innings. They'll
Also,
pitch
another thing is if a guy, let's say, comes in with the bases loaded and gives up all 3 of those runs, but then gets hosed out, then his ERA looks great, even though
exactly.
yeah, right.
And the guy before him is
Mhm.
the one that doesn't gets screwed over from that.
I just want to say this real quick. I always thought that was so stupid in baseball because look,
Mhm.
a guy, and I know this is going to sound dumb, but I always thought it should have been like a half run system where if you come in and give up a run, and it's like if there was a runner on base and you go up that run, it shouldn't be your earned run, but it shouldn't be the previous pitcher's earned run either. Like
Yeah.
there should be a healthy medium. So I don't know. I just always found that funny. Like, wait, this guy just literally like you'd see a guy come in to pitch and give up a grand slam, and wait, only one of those runs is his. I just saw
Yeah, exactly.
that ball that went 500 feet in the air. But
no, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. So, anyways, we never talked about the brawl Wednesday, and man, I was live tweeting the game, and boy, did I pick a good live game to live tweet. That was just incredible. It all started with the slide, which I mean, it was, I guess, like if you want to call it borderline dirty.
Yeah, I would say borderline dirty. I'm not going to say it wasn't dirty because
it was just a good hard baseball play.
Yeah,
overall, which is a lot of times dirty. A lot of good hard baseball players are dirty, but
I mean the only person who knows for sure whether it's dirty or not is Tyler Austin.
Mm-hmm.
He knows whether he went out of his way to spike Brock Holt or not, or whether it was just completely by accident. But either way, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, you just go back and look at clips from you could look back at clips from 5-10 years ago, but just the things guys would do to break up double plays. Mm-hmm. Just because that's what you're taught. It's like if you're you're going to be beat, you got to break up. You got to take out the shortstops or second baseman's legs and break up the double play. You're not trying to hurt them. You're just trying to force them to not make a throw.
Yeah,
and that's kind of been taken out of the game almost.
Because of the Chase Utley slide in 2015.
Man, that was when I was watching that live. Man,
I remember watching that live. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah. So who knows whether it was dirty or not? But Joe Kelly, he was the guy, the sacrificial lamb. I mean, he was the guy. Look, like Joe Kelly, does it annoy me that Red Sox fans are now crowning this guy as like a hero, and like they have all these like Fight Club Kelly.
Joe Kelly Fight Club.
Yeah, it's like okay, that's a little annoying considering the guy like didn't even land a punch or just got ended in the fight getting in a headlock by Judge. But I don't have any problems with anything Joe Kelly did. Like if I were a Red Sox fan or if Joe Kelly was on my team, I would want him to do exactly.
No, yeah, exactly.
It's like because you have to put look, like anything the Red Sox do. As a Yankees fan, you could say F them, screw them. I don't like that. But look, you have to look at it just from an unbiased perspective for a second and say everyone did what they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Like that, like if you can't be complaining about that brawl if you're a Yankees or Red Sox fan because who won the brawl or blah blah blah. Who cares? That was awesome. Like the Yankees and Red Sox had a brawl, the rivalry back, all that. Like both the Yankees and Red Sox fans could agree with that, which is what I loved about it, and that's why I said Joe Kelly, he did what he had to do.
Yeah, right? No, for me, I thought I don't have a problem with what Kelly did, but I just think the first pitch he threw to Austin was inside, but he missed, and then the second pitch was what hit him, and I thought that was like borderline a little too much, just because the first pitch he obviously was trying to hit him, he didn't, and then he goes back out after the game and says the ball just got away from him.
Yeah, I mean
that was a little cheap. I thought.
No, I was about to say you might have just kind of like Austin owned it. When they asked him oh, you punched someone? He said, yeah, hell yeah, I knew I punched someone. But yeah, Kelly's obviously just trying to reduce his suspension for a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Which the Red Sox probably don't want because he has a 9 ERA this year, so they probably want him for as long as possible. But yeah, he was on the Bruins jumbotron last night or the 2 nights ago, and he's just like a hero, and good for him, good for Kelly, good for Red Sox fans thinking that that was it wasn't like a great brawl in terms of the actual brawl itself, but I mean that was just I think look, there's going to be another one this season, man. It's gonna happen.
Oh, there's gonna be something that happens between these teams.
It wasn't gonna happen that next game, especially with the lack of fight the Yankees put up against Porcello.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just wait till the state. I think when the Yankees Red Sox play in May 12th, I believe. Like the second week of May, they play at the stadium. I'm not sure if we're gonna get it then, but there's gonna be some retaliation. Absolutely, and there should be because. You know why I think there's going to be retaliation? Not because of necessarily the players. The whole Alex Cora thing. That was like, that made me almost, if I was like 90% sure that there was going to be retaliation. After the whole Alex Cora thing and, reading about how that was like, oh man, there is going to be retaliation. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And all I know is I know who I want on the mound when that time comes. And his name is CC Sabathia. Like that would just have CC hit someone right in the back and just drop his glove like right away.
CC versus Brock Holt. Let's go.
Yeah, so something to talk about that Yankees Red Sox. Oh, CC Brock Holt, man. Let's talk about that Yankees Red Sox series. 3 disappointing performances on the mound from our starting pitchers. Gray, Tanaka, and Sevy. All look bad. Like
Tanaka.
Tanaka was the one guy that almost had a good start. If he doesn't
he made one mistake.
Mm-hmm. I know
to
it's
Martinez,
so easy to
and
say
that
this.
Destroyed him.
If he doesn't allow that, if he gets out of that inning clean, okay, it's a decent start, 2 earned runs. But yeah, that would
he did the absolute worst possible thing you could, which was hang a split, or I think it was a splitter to JD Martinez, and Martinez didn't miss it.
And that game, it was the second time this season that Tanaka's had a stretch where he's just gone through the lineup like that. 1, 2, like I think these numbers are probably 1 or 2 off, but I believe he retired 13 straight in that.
It was something like that. Yeah.
In this past Red Sox game, or in his last start, I believe he retired 11 or 12 straight. So both starts, he's just had kind of 3-4 inning stretches where he's just can't touch him. So that's very encouraging to see. But yeah, he really had like no fastball command. That night, and you kind of noticed it even when he was going through his 12 up or 12 in a row stretch. Like I kind of noticed. I said, man, his command is off tonight. And you were almost like sitting back because the Yankees had such a big lead. And you're like, whatever. But then once you hit that grand slam, you said, oh yeah, his command is off tonight.
Yeah,
92-mile-per-hour fastball right in the wheelhouse.
No, and the thing with Tanaka is that he's such a finesse pitcher now, and he if he's living at the bottom of the zone and throwing everything like 2-seamer fastball, bottom of the strike zone, he's unhittable. And that's when, that's where he was the 2 stretches he had. But the second he hangs something right up in the zone, that the hitter's not going to miss that.
Yeah. Which
is why he gives up so many home runs. Like he gave up 2 in that game, 1 to Hanley, 1 to Martinez, and then there was
a home run in every start so far, at least.
Yeah. And then there's the one that Adam Jones hit, where if you look at it, the entire night he's throwing low in the zone, just pounding the corners, and then the pitch to Jones was a slider that just hung straight in the middle of the plate. So he's frustrating, but he's also, when he's on, he's so good. But against a team like the Red Sox, who they have a really good offense, they've been hitting really well this year. You can't make a mistake like that, especially to a guy that can hit it out with the bases loaded.
I'm on Fangraphs for Tanaka right now, and there's some interesting stats. At first, I was looking at the velocity because I wanted to find out what his fastball velo was so far this year, and right now it's at 91.3. It was at 92.2 last year. Still a little bit too small of a sample size to be worried about that.
Yeah, he's only had 3 starts.
The thing I noticed, and he's only throwing fastballs this year 22% of the time.
That's interesting.
And last year he was at 27.7, and it's actually gone down each year. He came in 40.6% in 2014, and now he's at 22%. So he's just trusting that fastball less and less and less. And it really is, like you said, like when he's locating and he has command of that fastball, like, even though it's only 92, 93, it's nasty. It's a great pitch. But you really, like, look, a guy like Sevy can make a mistake with his fastball, and it could just look like a dominant blow-by pitch up in the zone. Tanaka can't do that. He really can't, and it's the reason why he gives up so many home runs because he just misses with the fastball or misses with the curveball. It's just the meatball.
Well, and if you look at his first year in 2014 when he was throwing, 96, 97 before he had the UCL injury, he could get away with mistakes like that because he'd be blowing hitters away, but after his injury, he's only throwing 92, 91, 93, and you can't get away with mistakes when your off speed's going, 85, 86 miles an hour instead of 90, 91.
Wow.
So the velocity of his pitches is a lot of what has to do with the amount of home runs he's given up the past few years because his pitches are a lot slower and you can't make a mistake like that.
He is throwing this year so far. He is throwing his slider and his splitter close to 75% of the time.
Yeah.
Like that's just incredible.
That's insane.
Yeah. That is pretty much 3 out of 4 pitches he throws. It's going to be a slider or a splitter. And I think it just really shows you that his confidence in his fastball right now is just not there. And I'm not sure if it's coming back. But no, in all honesty, I have high hopes for Tanaka this year. I think he's going to be like I like how he's looked so far. I don't think he's going to be giving up too many more grand slams because, like I always say with Tanaka, I don't mind his whole home run problem because first of all, he plays in Yankee Stadium.
You're going to give up home runs.
Most pitchers that pitch in Yankee Stadium are going to give up some home runs. And second of all, usually when you give up the home run, it's so weird. Like it's usually just a solo home run. Like I swear to God, 90% of the time, it seems like the first home run he gives up the game will be a solo shot.
Yeah,
and he'll just give up the solo shot, and then he'll get like the next reaction. Like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Because look, what's the thing with solo shots? I'd rather got my pitcher give up a solo shot than have a 30-pitch inning where he has 2 walks and like 1 cheap base hit.
Yeah, that scores a run. Exactly.
Yeah. Tanaka, I've seen a lot of his starts where even though he's given up 2 home runs, he's still 75 pitches through 6 innings, and he can still go innings. So, no, I don't think there's too much to worry about Tanaka. If his I think I do need him to throw more than a fastball 22% of the time though.
Yeah,
that's a little low. A few other things. I'm gonna just announce this. I think this was announced Monday morning that Gleyber Torres has been named the International League Batter of the Week. Right during the week in 10 games, or I'm not sure if during the week of the season, but he's hitting 385. He's 15 for 39, has a homer, 10 RBIs, 564 slugging, 5 runs, a couple doubles. So Gleyber Torres doing pretty well.
He is. He's impressing.
And you know who's not doing well? The current Yankees second baseman,
Tyler Wade.
Yeah. So look, I think I tweeted out. I'm not sure if it was Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure when it was, but I said, look, as soon as Gleyber Torres can be called up to the majors, you have to do it, and you have to either bench or send down or whatever you want to do with Tyler Wade because Tyler Wade, he cannot be starting for this team anymore at the moment. I mean, maybe, hopefully next year, years down the road, maybe he improves, but I really and it's such a sticky situation because you feel like if you send Tyler Wade back down, I'm not even sure how many options he has left, but if you send him back down, you almost know he's just going to rip, right? Like we know he's a great AAA hitter.
Yeah.
But it's just the medium where it's like, he's going to hit close to 400 at AAA, but he's literally hitting not even 100 at the major league level. And what's his career average counting back to last year? It's very bad. And it's getting to the point where it's like, hey, now you're getting close to 100 at bats. It's, you're digging yourself. Like we always say, like the Blue Jays did last year when they just started off the year 1-9. It's not like they were that bad of a team, but when you dig yourself in that big of a hole, it's really hard for any team to get out of it. And when you're Tyler Wade and you start off your career with that many at bats and that few of hits, it's going to be tough to get that career average up. And that's not the whole goal of his career is to have like a great career batting average, but it definitely is something other teams are going to look at and say, ugh, this guy has 175 at bats and only 18 career hits. This guy can't hit. Like, whoa, I'm not training for this guy. So, and I said it in the preseason. I said it in spring training. I always call spring training preseason. I said it in spring training that, look, I'm not putting Tyler Wade as my opening day second baseman until he proves that he could hit at an MLB level. And he has not proven that. So Yeah, Alex, are we? So I think it's safe to say that are we both on the call up Gleyber
Oh
train?
yeah, no, I'm all
Yeah,
for calling up Glaber.
I think 90% of Yankee
Um,
fans are. I haven't found too many Yankee fans that don't want to call up Gleyber. Like
I
once the
can't imagine
service,
there's anyone
yeah.
that would.
Oh, I can imagine. I've seen Yankees Twitter. I could definitely imagine a few people that would
Yeah,
scoff at the Gleyber Torres coming up to the bigs.
but he's not going to come up until I think Thursday
Yeah,
is when his service time clock resets. So that's when he would be called up. So we just have to,
which would be
survive
against
three more.
4 game set against the Blue Jays at home
Mhm.
that weekend. So that
We have to
would be
survive
good.
3 games of Tyler Wade, or 2 games or whatever. But yeah, the thing with Wade, to me, it's hard for me to believe that he's hitting, you know, so poorly and doesn't have that many hits this year, just because his like 3 hits that he has, they're kind of memorable.
I was about to say that he's all of his hits are like important hits. Like, oh, that was a big
Yeah.
RBI single. That was a
His
big
first
RBI
hit of
double.
his first hit of the season was a 2-run double in Toronto. He had a RBI single in the home opener, and I don't remember what his third hit
Now
was.
that I have Tyler Wade stats in front of me, I just want to read them off. In his MLB career, 41 games, 98 plate appearances, 90 at bats, 12 hits for a 133 average and a 204 on base percentage.
That is not an ideal start to your
Yeah,
career.
that's rough, and you feel bad for the dude because that's tough. I mean, he's still 23 years old. I mean, he's still pretty young.
Yeah.
Just turned 23 not too long ago. He's not going to be 24 till the off season. You think of guys like Tyler Wade, or young, like a couple years younger than Judge.
Yeah.
Even though they all kind of came up at the same time. But yeah, like it like it just makes me laugh because there's so many Yankee fans out there, and I'm almost starting to join their fan club. That's like, look, I cannot watch Tyler Wade anymore. Like he's 3 for 32, and you can't blame them. You really can't. I mean,
no, and I'm one where
he has an offer.
Yeah, no, and I'm one where I want him to have his opportunity, and not everyone's going to start out like how Sanchez did by hitting 20 home runs in your first 50 games. But he looks lost, and it's almost sad because I'm a big fan of Wade, and I think he has the opportunity and the potential to be really good. But he has the chance now to be the Yankees second baseman, and he cannot hit at all. He looks lost, and you see him. He swings at everything now. He's not even working the count where. Last year he walked 5 times, I think it was last year, which is not
98 plate appearances, 8 walks.
Yeah.
I've said this before. Look, when you're struggling hitting, you have to work that count. You have to get on base, especially with a guy like Tyler Wade who has speed, who could be an asset on base.
Exactly.
You have to get on base more than 20 times in your 98 plate appearance. Yeah, you got to get on base a little bit more than that.
Yeah, no, you have to get on base. And
I think the line for me, and my brain is so scrambled right now. I don't even know whether this was Tuesday, which Red Sox game it was. But when he had that, I think it was Thursday's game. When he had that throw to the plate, that was
Thursday.
It. I mean, look, somebody like that wasn't a mental error. It was a physical error. Whatever. Like, I don't care I don't even call it a physical error. Physical error. That was awful. Like that.
That was a.
I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Sandy Leone running home? Like someone on the Red Sox was running.
I think it was like Leone or Moreland.
Yeah, it was somebody really slow,
guys.
Somebody not fast, and he literally just like barely even set his feet and just one hop. Like, and this almost sounds stupid. I wouldn't even have been mad if, let's say, he short hopped Gary and like the ball kind of just like ricocheted off. It's like whatever. He missed that throw by like a couple more feet up. That's a perfect throw.
He missed that throw by a good 10 feet.
By 5-10 feet. I said, like, okay, that's it. You know what? Like, you can't hit, and now you do that. Get out. Like, out.
Yeah. No, okay, the worst thing about that was people blaming Sanchez for that play.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. There's always going to be people blaming Sanchez for everything. But
yeah,
that was kind of the point where I'm like, okay, maybe Tyler Wade, maybe he does need to get out of here. Like, look, I don't mean get out of here because there are some people that say Tyler Wade sucks. Like, oh, wow, Tyler Wade's so bad. Like, he sucks. Tyler Wade is not good right now. Tyler Wade, so many people, and I'm not gonna go on a rant here, but so many people will just say this player sucks, and this guy's awful. There's just such a difference between saying a guy sucks and this guy sucks right now, or this guy's been awful of late.
No, there's
Gary Sanchez does not suck. Gary Sanchez sucked the first 10, 12 games. Absolutely.
yeah, no, he
Awful.
struggled, but he
Absolutely.
was
But
not.
he
He's
does
not bad.
exactly. It doesn't define his caliber, his status as a baseball player.
Yeah,
or
and there's people that say like Wade is not MLB caliber. He's not going to be an MLB player, which right now, yeah, he's not. He is not MLB ready.
It could come to fruition that way. Just never happens, of course.
Yeah,
but,
it could happen. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but
more
you can't just judge it right now.
It's like he's not MLB caliber. He's not MLB ready.
Look at Didi as a perfect example. His first few years with the Diamondbacks, he really could not hit at all.
Mm-hmm.
He was not that great. And then, get traded to the Yankees, he was okay his first year. And then all of a sudden he's one of the Yankees' best players. So you really cannot judge people because they have skills. They're in the majors for a reason. Another example of that is like Justin Smoke, where it was first round pick, and he was not good his first few years with the Mariners, and then gets traded to the Jays, was okay. He had power but didn't really do anything, and then last year he just broke out and was really, really good. Mm-hmm. So these guys that have all these potential, you can't judge them based on a 14-game stretch where they're bad. Even if everything they're doing is really bad, you can't judge them based on that because they still they have the skills to be really good. They're just not using them at that moment.
Yes, and another guy you can even look at is the most obvious example, the most popular player in baseball is Judge. I mean, look, Judge obviously he was a first-round pick. He was a very highly touted prospect, but he wasn't a guy that was like you look at prospects like Chris Bryant and Harper, who it's literally from the time they're 15, 16 years old. Like, oh yeah, this guy is going to be an MLB All-Star. He's going to hit it's no questions asked. Mm-hmm. Judge wasn't really one of those guys. Sure, he was Mr. Athlete everywhere, but he comes up in 2016, hits like around 180 or whatever. The batting average he has saved in the notes of his phone. He has bad year. He strikes out half his at bats. Blah blah blah. Comes into last year, no one was touting him to have a big year, to win rookie year, like nobody at all. And all of a sudden he comes and hits 52 home runs. And now this year looks like he's picking up right where he left off. So yeah, you just never know with guys. And when a guy's going to make that 180 and just go from being just a up and coming prospect to a fixture on a team's lineup or
exactly.
So yeah, I think Tyler Wade, really not like, I'm really not sure what the Yankees should do with him, whether they should send him down or they should just bench him. Like, I don't think they're going to bench him because
I don't think they'd bench him. I think if they were going to,
Torres has been mashing. I mean, Torres is just reiterating and proving that point that, hey, I'm the utility guy of this team.
Mm-hmm.
And something else I want to say about Torres, isn't it crazy that Torres is only 25? Like, doesn't Torres just look like a guy that's 33 and has been in the league for 10 years?
Yeah, he does.
Because I remember like at the beginning of last year, like when someone said Torres' age, I was like, wait a minute. Torres is 25. Like, Torres is technically like quote unquote like a baby bomber. Like he's just like technically like around the same age as most of these guys, and like like he's probably younger than Judge. Like it absolutely blew my mind when I found that out last year. Like I always like you just look at Torres and you're like, oh, this guy's been in the majors for 8 years on 5 different teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Torres, I mean, I think he had 3 hit night in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. No, he's been fantastic this year.
He's just been fantastic. I think
and there's a lot of people out there that just like they think they don't know why Torres is still on the team because the Yankees have a better option, Tyler Wade, who has more potential and stuff. And then I'm a big fan of Tyro Estrada, who's in AAA right now. But Torres right now is such a good utility infielder. He's not a starter. We've seen when he starts, he can be decent, like when he was filling in for Didi last year. But he has no power at all. So, and he swings at everything. So his at bats when he's not hitting, they can be brutal because they're over like that. But he's such a good bench player where he does his job. He has pretty decent defense. He can play anywhere, and he's even like the 3rd string catcher. And he hits. Like when he hits, he gets 3 or 4. When he's on a roll, he can get 3 or 4 hits a game, and 2 singles and a double maybe. And he's a very valuable person to the team.
And when I was watching like just the condensed footage from this game, it was the Tigers broadcast, and I don't know who was in the Tigers booth, but he just had such a great point, and it was so simple about Torres. He goes, man, this guy doesn't miss fastballs. It's
Yeah,
just so true. Like when Torres gets a fastball in the zone, like he is swinging,
yeah.
and a lot of times he gets a hit. I mean, he hit close to 300 last year, and I know it's obviously still early on, but just like another guy, just like I said with Judge, just picking up right where he left off last
Yeah,
year. Like, hey,
exactly.
I'm the utility guy in this team. I might piss off some Yankee fans because I play too much. That was the whole thing with Torres. I understand like this year we have injuries and last year we had injuries, and like Torres probably played a little bit too much in the field. I
Yeah.
get that. But like you can't be like mad at him, like, oh, this guy Torres sucks. Like, look, he's a utility guy for a reason. Like he's not in like if you get mad at him if he was supposed to be an everyday second baseman or shortstop, but he's not.
If he
And
was pegged to be the Yankees' everyday second baseman, then I can understand. But he's the utility infielder. He's
and
not
I'm
going to play every day.
and I'm gonna say this now because I know this might be like early to change. Because I said in spring training that like I don't think Torres would be on the team at the end of the year. Meaning by on the team I meant on like the postseason roster. Like he'd still be like in the system obviously, but he wouldn't be invited as one of the 25. But at this point, I'm like, wow, I'm an idiot. Like Torres is most for sure. If he keeps this up, he's going to be on the postseason roster.
Yeah.
But you know, Alex, I don't even think the Yankees are going to make the postseason because they suck.
Oh, this team is trash.
This team's awful. Imagine being as bad. But I've said this a few episodes ago. The Yankees better win. I mean, I know they might not play this game tonight or probably tomorrow against the Marlins, but let's just say they hypothetically that no more games ever get rained out in the history of everything. The Yankees better beat the Marlins both games, and they should probably win that series against the Blue Jays because I've read the schedule before, and I'm going to read it again for anyone wondering what the Yankee schedule is. So, after that 2-game little set against the Marlins and 4-game set against the Blue Jays, all at home, then we host a 4-game set at home against the Twins, the team we played in the wild card matchup last year. Solid team, solid start to the year. Okay. Then we play a 3-game weekend series in LA against the Angels, who have been very good. Then we play a 4-game set on the road against the Houston Astros. I think we all know the caliber of them. After that, it's a 3-game set at home versus the Cleveland Indians. And then we get to take a break with a 3-game set at home against the Boston Red Sox. So to review that real quickly, that's Twins, Angels, Astros, Indians, Red Sox. That is brutal. Like I'm not even going to lie. That is absolutely brutal. Like the first time I was looking through the schedule and saw that, I had to like recheck the schedule 3 times. Because I could not believe. I said, man, the Indians and Astros together, that's rough enough. Having to play the Astros and Indians 7 straight games, like if you go 3-4 in that stretch, you take it and leave.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that's, almost like pessimistic thinking, but man, especially when 4 of those games are in Houston. I mean, a 4-game set on the road in Houston is brutal. And yeah, even like the one team that didn't make the playoffs out of those 4 last year is the Angels. And they're 13-3 right now. I mean, they have Ohtani, who looks like the next Babe Ruth. I mean, the Japanese Babe Ruth, whatever you want to call him. Yeah.
No, and this is brutal just because those 5 teams right there, even the Jays, even the
Jays are pretty.
The Jays are no slouch. Those 6 right there are, you include the Yankees, those are the 7 best teams in the American League.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a competition. Like maybe throw in, I don't know, the Mariners are maybe decent, but like
we're like best, not worst. Okay, go on. Yeah,
no, but it's such a difficult stretch where if the Yankees can get through that's 19 games right there. They need to win both against the Marlins, but if they can go, 9-10 in that 19-game stretch, I would take that. Honestly.
Look, let's just say you beat the Marlins both games. Let's say you take 3 out of 4 from Toronto.
Yeah.
That puts you at 12-8, I believe. Right? Yeah, because I think it's 7-7 now. So you go into that stretch 12-8. You have some room to drop a couple games, which obviously you never want. But yeah, it's tough to be concerned with your playoff position. Because once that stretch is done, it will be May 11th, that Friday, and still even at that point, there's still. You're barely into the summer yet, but
but the thing is, like we've seen games early on, they don't mean as much, but they still mean something. Like in 2016, the Yankees' first month of the season, they played awful. They
Yeah,
were, I think, 9-17, and then the rest of the season they played at a playoff level, like
exactly. It's like I use an example with the Blue
pace.
Jays all the time. But you start
Yeah,
off 1-9, like that's a hole that you might not be able to dig yourself out of
exactly.
all year.
Like, yeah, it looks bad. Your first 10 games of the season, you lose 9 of them, but it's early on in the season. That's bad because you need to make up those 8 games. And those are 9 games right there that you cannot come back from. Those are 9 losses you cannot come back from.
Because there's
So
two
it's a lot.
things you always have to be concerned of baseball. That's how many games back you are of like the first place team,
Yeah.
and how many games above or below you are at 500. Because no
Mhm.
matter at what point in the season, if you're 12 games below 500, you are 12 games below 500. Doesn't matter if it's
Exactly.
April or July or December. You're 12 games below 500 is bad, and if you're
Yeah,
12 games above 500, that's really good no matter what point in the
exactly.
season it's at. So yeah, it's just gonna be tough for them to to be hopefully they get some guys back in those seasons. I mean, according to the Greg Bird's mouth, he will be back in May. I'm not sure if he means May 2018, May 2019. I'm not sure when he means, but it would be nice to have a actual. Because look, Neil Walker's done a great job, but I need a first baseman. I need
Yeah.
like an actual first baseman back out
No,
there.
it's actually funny just because Neil Walker has actually been a pretty decent first baseman.
Yeah, he has.
I mean, he has not hit at all. But it's not hard to, like, you haven't really noticed defensively Bird's absence because Walker's actually done a pretty good job. And I mean, Bird's no Mark Teixeira,
I was
but
just
he's
gonna
a
say
pretty
Bird's
solid
like
first
Teixeira.
baseman.
Yeah, we were spoiled with Teixeira though. We're not gonna have a
Oh boy.
Teixeira first for a while, but
Yeah.
Aaron Judge. Before we get into end the show with the overreactions and looking at the Marlins, Aaron Judge has a hitting streak on, and just I think it's just a lot of people were saying that this year he was going to try to focus more on just solid contact, maybe not hit as many home runs, and so far those people look smart. I know he
Yeah.
hit homers last year in September, so you never know when he could just go on a tear and just smash that home run total, but as of now, I think my prediction I had for Judge for this season was around like 290, 38 homers, and like 115 RBIs.
Yeah.
We'll see, right? Well, we will
Yeah.
check back in, but 3 homers so far. It almost
He
it
looks
almost
really
sucks.
good.
It almost sucks. You think to yourself, man, Judge probably would have hit a homer this weekend against Detroit. Like,
Oh
come on.
yeah.
That's I would almost be like not happy, but man, if we were playing, I don't know, the Astros or the Nationals or the whoever we were playing, if they were like a really good team for a 3-game set and
Mhm.
it got rained out 2 of them, you say, oh, well,
Oh well.
sucks. But it was the Tigers
Yeah.
who had just been swept by I forget who, but they had just been swept. They're like, I
It
think
was
7 or
It
9.
was the Indians, I
Okay, it
think.
was the Indians, but yeah, the Tigers are. I think at the beginning of the year, the Tigers were the one team I noticed that because there's a lot. This is the year of the tank in the MLB, right?
Yeah.
You knew the Rays, you knew the Marlins, all those teams were going to be really bad, but the Tigers were one team. I was like, oh, they're going to be really bad too. Huh.
Hmm.
And then you just kind of think about it. You're like, yeah, they don't have anybody.
Exactly.
So yeah,
And it kind of sucks now because they're playing them in a doubleheader to make up those 2 games in June, which now that means the Yankees are going to have to fly to Detroit, play a doubleheader, and then fly somewhere else.
yep.
So that
Mhm.
it really does not help the Yankees. Even if they're playing the Tigers and they win both games, that's going to tire them out a lot because it's not easy to go from having a day off, a travel day, to having a doubleheader.
Yep. Well, let's really quickly look at these 2 games. Hopefully that they will play against the Marlins. I'm actually going to check Yankees PR right now to see if they didn't send out a tweet that the game's canceled because there is a chance that
Yeah.
happens. But oh man, I really hope we play the game tonight because have you seen the pitching matchup?
It's Caleb Smith, our good old pal,
Our good old pal Caleb Smith.
who in spring training Yankees faced him. I want to say they scored 5 runs in the first inning. Off
Yeah.
him.
So
He's
far,
really not good.
Yeah, 3 starts this year with the Marlins, 13 and third innings, 11 hits, 7 runs, 2 homers, 10 walks, 19 strikeouts doing 13 and third. So he's got the strikeout pitch going. But yeah, Caleb Smith was a guy that made me when Caleb Smith, who did he pitch against in that game? It was the Twins, right? It was in Minnesota. It
Yeah.
was his first start, and that was the game that I think I realized. I said, "Man, Chance Adams must really be struggling. That this guy's making his first start before Chance Adams."
Yeah.
Yeah, he just you really hate to just almost say, "Oh, this guy's not good," but when you see a prospect from the Yankee system come up and he's just really didn't wow you in any area.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, he never was really a highly ranked prospect. He was
absolutely not.
He was good in AAA, but then the Yankees brought him up, and he was just kind of very, very mediocre. Like, I remember there was one start in Seattle where the Yankees had him start, and he threw, I want to say, 3 innings. The first 3 innings, he threw really well. 4th inning started, and every single one of the Mariners' batters was on him, and he could not get anyone out. And that shows he's just not great because he can't get through. He can't go through the order a second time, which you can't do that. You're not a very good starting pitcher.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's like being a point guard in the NBA saying, "Oh, I really don't like to pass." Got some bad news. But yeah, so Sevy is supposed to start today, or tonight, I should say. Hopefully he could bounce back from that poor start against the Red Sox.
Well, I would hope he would be able to, because
perfect candidate to bounce back against.
Yeah, exactly.
Marlins lineup that's not been good. And then the pitcher for the Marlins on Tuesday night projected is when I was doing research before the show, all I saw was Jay Garcia, and I'm like, wait a minute, Jaime Garcia is not on the Marlins, is it? It's Jarlin Garcia, who was a relief pitcher for the Marlins last year. He's a lefty from the Dominican. Really didn't have too great of numbers. 4.73 ERA out of the bullpen last year. He's making his second career start tonight. He had one start earlier this year. But yeah, I mean, just two guys really the Yankees are facing that are kind of borderline minor league MLB pitchers. So, when we say we really hope they get these 2 games in, but we're just really not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they win if they play both. I think they win both.
I would hope so. Yeah. They need a few to rattle a few wins off before going on this streak of really, really difficult games.
And the ticket prices, because just they're probably gonna get rained out. You could get tickets for so cheap for the Yankees game tonight.
Yeah.
And Tanaka starting for the Yankees tomorrow night projected. So I mean that's one positive thing about the rain delay, right? You just you don't have to worry about CC being hurt. You just kind of say, CC start. Just kind of got skipped.
Yeah.
A few other news and notes around Yankee world. Jace Peterson elected free agency in lieu of accepting an outright assignment. So good luck to Jace Peterson.
The Yankee legend.
The top reply is just from I love Yankees Twitter. The top reply is from this kid's name is Brian Cashgod, and it just says "End of an era." That's great. When does his monument go up? Yeah, just great. And also, the Yankees. This was before. I believe this was before yesterday's planned game. That the Yankees they optioned Luis Sessa to Scranton, and they outrighted Shane Robinson to Scranton. So,
must be really nice to be Luis Sessa right now. He's told he's going to start on a Sunday, and then all of a sudden, game gets rained out. Yeah, you're going back to AAA.
Yeah, back to Scranton. Sessa.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like Sessa has how many options does Sessa have left? He can't have that.
I want to say this has got to be his last one.
Come on, it's just he's gonna option at AAA 80 times. It's every other. It's Sessa pitches 3 times. Prior to today's game, Luis Sessa has been optioned at AAA.
Well, and last year when he would be the long reliever, he'd have a 3-inning outing, and then the Yankees would send him down and bring someone else up.
Exactly. He would just be pitching out there, knowing that he has a fresh and clean bus ride.
This
morning. All ready to go. So let's end the show with an article that was posted this morning by our very own Spencer Schultz. Go follow him on Twitter. He's a really good writer. Well, he's a little young, but he's got some good writing skills. And we're just going to go through some of these early season Yankee overreactions. We'll go in order. First off, Didi Gregorius is a top 3 shortstop. Is that an overreaction or is it justified?
I would say Spencer says it's an overreaction, but not far off. And I would say right now, he's obviously one of the best shortstops in the game, based on his numbers right now. But yeah, I would say it's really not that far off because you have players like Correa and Lindor and Seager, who I would say are definitely the top 3. Seager right now is not really has not having a good start to the season, and Correa and Lindor have been pretty good. So that's, I think, why Didi is considered to be the third best. But the 4 of them, Correa, Lindor, Didi, Seager, I think those 4 right there are the best 4 shortstops in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to say Seager isn't one of the best short when he's had a 300 career average.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I put Seager above Didi, and there's many reasons I could put them above, but the fact that Seager's on base percentage is decent, and that's the one thing. If Didi, Didi to start this year, he's walking, right?
Yeah, no, he's actually
I don't
like,
have his on base percentage in front of me, but I know he has a really good on base percentage right now.
Yeah.
So look, if Didi could be a guy that has the same average, but instead of having a 318 on base percentage like he did last year, let's say has a 380 on base percentage. That would, for me, put him into maybe that top 3. Maybe put him as
his on base percentage this year is 433.
Yeah, look, I don't expect him to keep that up, but I expect him to be better than 320 he was last year. Like, really,
no, the thing that really stands out with Didi is that last year he walked 25 times total. 2016 he walked 19 times total. This year, in 14 games, he's walked 11 times.
Yeah, because really, the first few walks, you kind of said, wait, what's happening? But now it's to the point where, yeah, Didi's working walks. It's definitely something he's most likely looked at and said, hey, why am I? Because he still does it, right? Didi still had a few different games this year where he's had 4 at-bats and 9 pitches.
Yeah.
But, I think he's starting to realize now that, because look, it happens to you all the time in baseball. Sometimes you look at that first pitch and you say, all right, I'm going to be patient. And before you know it, it's 3-0. And that's happened to him a few times this year. And no matter how good of a hitter you are, I think Judge is kind of teaching and showing us all of this. No matter how great of a hitter you are, no matter how much power you have, always take a walk.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean you look for walks, but hey, anytime the pitcher wants to give you a walk, take it.
Well, and with the lineup that the Yankees have, they can afford to have Didi get on base with walking and not hitting or anything, because the rest of their lineup has potential to drive him in. It's not like in 2013 when a team would walk Cano because they knew they had Vernon Wells on deck. This time, the Didi batting cleanup, you have Sanchez on deck, you have Didi batting, you have Sanchez, you have Walker, who hasn't been great, but you have all these other guys who can really contribute. So that's why it's a lot. You walk, it's not the end of the world.
It's more so even for me, the people in front of him. Like after facing Judge and Stanton and all these, and even Gardner, especially those guys give you most likely tough at bats, specifically Judge and Gardy. And let's say you get through those 3 guys, or one of them gets on, that you get the other 2 out. But let's say you're through 20, 25 pitches. Even with Didi up, you're going to try to get ahead with that first pitch. And a lot of times he's going to jump on it and he's going to make you pay.
Exactly.
I think Didi hitting 4th or 5th is just a perfect spot for him. But let's move to the next one. And that is that the Yanks need starting pitching. Is that an overreaction or is that justified?
As of right now, I would say that's a bit of an overreaction.
I agree.
Solely because the Yankees have had injuries. Like CC was injured, and this early in the year, the weather has been so bad.
Has it?
Yeah, I think so. There's been a little bit of rain.
Yeah, a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain.
That you really cannot judge any pitching right now, because pitching in 40-degree weather is not easy. It's miserable. So as of right now, I don't think that's a huge overreaction. If it's June and their starters' numbers look like they are, and Gray's only going, 4 innings, giving up 3-4 runs every time, and Tanaka's going 6 innings and he gives up a grand slam the 6th inning every time, then I would say there's cause for concern. But right now, there's no point in worrying about the rotation yet.
Yeah, well, my hope that Garrett Cole would suck and the Yankees could possibly get him has completely gone out the window.
Yeah.
Garrett Cole has literally been one of the best pitchers in baseball so far.
Yeah, see that now that's the biggest thing right there, where people are thinking, oh man, the Yankees really should have gotten Cole because he's had what I think it's 3 consecutive 11 strikeout games to start his career with the Astros, which that would be really nice to have for if he was on the Yankees, but he's not going to keep that up. He's not that type of pitcher. So I think the fact that he's started off so well, that really adds to the overreaction, but he's not going to be like that the whole entire year.
Yeah, I agree. Next one. Dellin Betances is no longer an elite relief pitcher. Is that an overreaction or is that justified?
No,
I'll use the word validate.
Yeah, no, I think that's justified right now. We talked about this before where he doesn't know, like, he's been like this for a bit now where he's not dominant anymore. And in, say, 2014, 2015, first half of 2016, if he didn't have control of his pitches, he'd be able to still strike out guys and still get outs. But now he can't. And last year it was the walks where he just walk everybody if he didn't have control, and he'd give up walk-in runs. And this year everyone's just bombing every single pitch he throws. So, and the fact that if he still was walking everyone this year, I think there'd be even more cause for concern. But the fact that he really overcorrected, there's still a chance he might be able to right the ship and return to a decent reliever. But no, I think that's perfectly valid right now.
Yeah, I agree. You really can't call him an elite relief pitcher right now. He's just anything. He's anything but. And it's such a shame because Betances is a guy that grew up in the Bronx, grew up in the bleachers. Just he's been a part of this bullpen for longer than anybody. Maybe who's spent more time with the Yankees, Warren or Betances, whatever it may be. Betances has been part of the Yankees for a long time. Yeah. He's a 4-time All-Star. He's done great things for us, but starting in kind of like that second half of 2016 where he took over the closer role. I mean, it just he's been
it's been brutal. And he was really good at the beginning of last season. We had a stretch of like 1 run in 22 innings, and then after that was when he kind of fell apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Betances, I think, not being elite relief pitcher anymore, very validated. Fourth one, the lineup isn't as good as we thought. Is that an overreaction? And I'm just going to say, yes, it's an overreaction.
Oh, definitely. There've been injuries, Stanton's struggling, adjusting to New York. There's a lot of reasons the lineup hasn't been as great, and you give it time. Wait for Bird to be back. Hicks is already back. Drury is on the DL. A lot of people are injured. Give it time. The Yankees' offensive potential.
And just think of it, like you could obviously talk about the injuries to Bird and Hicks and all these guys, but let's just go further to a guy like Billy McKinney. Like a guy like Billy McKinney, like probably would be hitting better than Jace Peterson or Shane Robinson.
Exactly.
Like Clint Frazier, right? A guy like Clint Frazier would probably be hitting a little bit better than the guys that the Yankees have had in the outfield. So they just had so many injuries, and the Drury injury, like I'm almost forgetting about Drury because it's just such a weird. That's one of those injuries that kind of scares you, man. Like that's he could be out for the whole year. Like that.
When I heard
Brian
that
Roberts had those concussion problems, I mean, they just didn't know it was. He was just out, and that happened a lot. I mean, it happened to Sidney Crosby in hockey. I remember a few years back, it looked like he would never play hockey. Like there was a good stretch of over a year, I believe, where he just wasn't playing hockey because of concussion. So you don't mess with like concussions or vision or the brain or anything like that. So
no, especially like when I heard he's been having like the migraines and blurred vision for like the past 6 years or whatever it was.
Yeah,
that's scary.
And I don't know Drury's background, whether if he played like football or other high contact sports, but it's something you definitely have to watch out for. But yes, Stanton, is going to get going. Hopefully, he gets going against his former team the next
Mm.
couple days. Like we said, there's two guys starting that are both. I mean, look, both like when you face two guys that are both, you say to yourself, "Hey, these guys could be in AAA like next, like by the end of the year." Like, there's no these
Yeah,
guys aren't like MLB pitchers where you face guy like look, even a guy like Chris Tillman, as bad as he is, like he's still an MLB pitcher. Like you still know he's
exactly.
probably not going to like when you play the Marlins, like oh wow, this guy we're pitching, if we rip him enough, we literally might
He's
option
gonna
him
get
down.
sent down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's definitely an overreaction in the lineup. I think we already saw how just one guy coming back and Aaron Hicks boosted the lineup. And that's not saying that every time. When Bird comes back, he's going to have a 2-home run game, and whoever comes back is just going to have that immediate of an impact. But I think it just foreshadows that this lineup is going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's say, especially if we have Gleyber coming up and he continues to be Gleyber. The last one is the bullpen overrated. Now, Spencer for this one said give it time, which is kind of a cop-out. I'm calling you out, Spencer. But I'm going to say, yeah, I think this bullpen is over. And I know that might sound like an overreaction, but I mean, I thought this was the best bullpen in baseball. And so far, they don't look like it. And I know it's just like a lot of the season ago, yes, but like let me put it like this. If this bullpen ends up being the fourth best bullpen in baseball, then I think this bullpen is like overrated because I thought they'd be like the best bullpen in baseball, if that makes sense,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like that, in terms of that, that's why I'm going to say, yeah, they are overrated because I thought this was going to be like a video game bullpen, and it is not like that.
So, I'm actually going to go along with Spencer's verdict of give it time, because this goes along with the article I wrote the other day about the bullpen where Dellin and Canley, they have their own problems right now, but if they can fix them, then they have a chance to be back to, their dominant selves. Like Canley was really good last year. Dellin has had years where he's really good. There's all hope is not lost with them.
Oh, of course not.
And with D-Rob and Warren, overall, I think their struggles have basically just been luck or being unlucky and the weather and just having it being early in the season and stuff. So yeah, just give it time. If the bullpen still is struggling in a month and a half, 2 months, then yeah, I think the bullpen really was overrated, but it's too early to judge the bullpen, especially with it's 14. We say this a lot, but we're 14 games into the season. Anything can happen. So we give it time. I hope, I feel like they will. I hope that it'll straighten itself out eventually.
Yep, that's all we could do is hope. But yeah, those are the Yankee overreactions we had to begin the season. But once again, that was by our very own Spencer Schultz. And yeah, that's our show. That's all we got today. Hopefully the Yankees have some baseball to play tonight. The game's scheduled for 6:30. For whatever reason, I thought it was scheduled for 1 o'clock. I guess that was just because of the past two games that were scheduled for 1 that didn't get played. But yeah, any final thoughts, Alex, about life?
As always, Yeeters.
Yep, Yeeters. I just can't get over the fact that if these two games against the Marlins get rained out, it's like that's going to be. I mean, technically we've gotten 3 games rained out because they scheduled the doubleheader, but it's really it's technically only 2 because there's only 1 game scheduled for Sunday. But yeah, man, if we get games rained out against the Tigers and then the Marlins, and then we have to play that stretch,
it'll be rough. Yeah,
because that's what I'm that's just what I'm worried about is the fact that man, we're getting these rainouts aren't coming against teams that won the division last year.
Yeah,
to say the least. So yeah, we'll see. We'll be updating you on the Bronx Modern Ball Twitter about any weather delays. If there's a game, we'll be live tweeting. And yeah, that's all we got. So we'll see you guys next time.